As an enthusiast, I've always felt that the European sports sedan to be the quintessential vehicle for drivers looking for a car that's comfortable, luxurious, but above all, fun. However, in their recent years, European sports sedans, specifically German ones, have gotten pretty damn expensive, which is why newcomer vehicles like this 2021 Kia K5 GT are coming onto the scene. Now, as you guys know, the Kia K5 is Kia's replacement for their midsize Optima sedan. I tested this vehicle late last year in just the regular GT line and the regular EX line. However, today Kia has loaned me the 2021 K5 GT, the full-on GT model. And what that means is it has a 2.5 liter turbocharged engine with 290 horsepower. That's right, nearly 300 horsepower in a Kia family sedan, an all-new 8-speed wet dual-clutch transmission, which allows it to have some of the quickest shifts in the segment. And because of this performance, Kia says this car will gallop to 60 in under 6 seconds, which means it has better performance versus a BMW 330i and Audi A4. Now, if you guys are looking for a fun, practical, and comfortable mainstream midsize sedan, there's a lot of choices out there, from the Honda Accord Sport to the Toyota Camry TRD to the Mazda 6, and of course the sister vehicle, the Hyundai Sonata N-Line. But I personally think the new K5 is one of the best looking vehicles. So the big question I want to answer: has Kia truly built a sports sedan like this that can challenge the best from pricey Germany? That's what we're here to find out. Now, unlike the K5 GT line, which I tested earlier last year, this one here is the full-on GT, which means Kia has dumped the 1.6 liter turbo, which was ultimately fine for commuting, and they've replaced it with one of the most powerful engines in the segment. This is, of course, the all-new 2.5 liter turbocharged four-cylinder. That's right, it's a 2.5 liter turbo four-cylinder, just like the one that you'll find similar in displacement in the Mazda 6 turbo. However, in the Kia K5 GT, it makes 290 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque. This makes it more powerful, significantly more powerful, 40 more horsepower more powerful than a Mazda 6 and, of course, a Honda Accord 2.0T. This is the same engine that powers the Sonata N-Line and, of course, the new Kia Sorento. It's a honey of an engine, and it's paired with a new 8-speed dual-clutch transmission. It's a wet dual-clutch transmission, an all-new design that's designed to, of course, make you forget about Kia and Hyundai's terrible dual clutches from 5-10 years ago. Now, all K5 GTs are still only front-wheel drive, sadly, and if you're looking for a mechanical limited slip differential, it is not available. I really wish Kia and Hyundai would consider adding all-wheel drive to the full-on performance version of this car, but because it has a dual-clutch, Kia and Hyundai has actually fitted this car with launch control, which should help it get off the line much better. And because of that, they claim you can get to 60 in 5.8 seconds. Now, this is still a family car, and fuel economy is rated at 24 in the city and 32 on the highway, and about 27 combined. Thankfully, even though this is a performance model, it still only runs on regular gas. It has around a 15-gallon gas tank, and as this one sits, it weighs in at a tick over 3,500 pounds, or around 300 pounds heavier versus the base K5. Now let's take a look at the styling of this new K5 GT. Now, if you guys remember my review on the regular K5 GT line, you'll notice that the front fascia looks pretty similar to that vehicle. The front end of the GT line and GT has similar parts. They have a unique grille finish. As you can see, this is the tiger nose grille, which has evolved over the years on a lot of Kia products. It has kind of like this satin gray finish on the insert part of the grille. You have these vents down here, which some of them are functional, some of them are not. The GT line and GT includes these LED fog lights. You have LED low and high beams, and you have these amber illuminated LED daytime running lights, which definitely make this car stand out at night. I like how Kia's kind of going with the amber design to the running lights. It just makes the car look a little bit more distinctive versus just the white LED running lights that everyone else is going with. Now, of course, as I mentioned earlier, this car shares a platform with the Sonata N-Line, and they made this car significantly bigger this year versus the old Optima. Kia stretched the overall length and the wheelbase by about 2 inches. It's 193 inches long, and it has a 112.2 inch long wheelbase. It's actually about half an inch longer versus the sister car, which is the Hyundai Sonata for this vehicle. I think the K5 has very nice proportions. The Sonata I also think looks pretty good. However, it also has some proportions that make it look like a catfish, and it can be a little bit polarizing at times, whereas this one just kind of looks like a baby Kia Stinger. Now, looking over at the wheel sizes, you can see the GT gives you an inch bigger wheel. These are a 19-inch design Pirelli P0 all-season tires with a GT-specific upgraded 2-piston brakes. These aren't Brembo brakes, but you can see there's GT stamped on the actual caliper, which makes it look a little bit more sporty. These wheels the tires are 245 wide tires by 40 aspect ratio. So these are some of the widest tires you're going to find in the mainstream sports sedan segment. They're around 10 millimeters wider than most of the competitors. You can see panoramic sunroof is standard equipment on the GT model of this vehicle. My tester has the GT1 upgrade package, which includes some niceties that I'll talk about in the interior. You can see the roofline has somewhat of that sloping roof design. There's an interesting chrome bar that kind of accentuates the rear and goes along the rear deck lid, which I think we could do without. I would have preferred that that'd be blacked out. But looking at the rear, you can see the design hasn't really changed. You still have these really interesting and attractive looking LED combination rear taillights. However, you can see the turn signal and the reverse light is just an incandescent design. There are some fake vents over here on the side, which I think Kia could have done without. And then looking at the exhaust, the GT has its own specific quad outlet exhaust. It looks good. It's actually a genuine exhaust system. I'll fire the engine up. You guys can hear what it sounds like real quick. Now, Kia says that the sound is enhanced on the interior, but it doesn't sound too bad from outside. So again, that's another indication that they're very serious about taking on, the sportier end of the segment or creating a new segment altogether. Now, opening up the trunk capacity, there's a little button over here that opens up the trunk. And it's a pretty large trunk. It measures 16 cubic feet with the seats up. You can also fold down the seats back here in a 60/40 manner. However, because it's not an SUV, you can't actually expand that, but you can, again, expand the cargo capacity if you guys have longer items. But as far as sedans goes, this is a pretty large trunk for the segment. So now let's move on to the interior of this 2021 K5 GT. As you guys saw, the sapphire blue exterior of my tester is complemented by this synthetic leather, black leather with the red contrasting stitching. This is the only interior color combination that you can get on a K5 GT. I really hope that Kia expands that to offer lighter colors and of course a red leather. You can get a red leather, but only on the GT line. I really think that Kia needs to offer that color combination option on the full-on GT model. But as you can see, stepping inside the interior, if you guys saw my review of the regular K5, this interior is going to feel pretty familiar. I do like, again, the upgraded sport seats. This is a faux leather with some contrasting stitching and piping with a GT embroidered in the actual seat back. Instead of GT line, it says GT. The seats themselves are heated and cooled on my tester because this has the GT1 package. And the seats are 12-way power on the driver's side and on the passenger side, which is, again, an upgrade versus what you can get in the Sonata N line. Kia also offers 2-person memory seats when you get that GT2 package. And it also, again, makes this feel a little bit more like a luxury car. Now, shutting the door, you can hear the door has a nice solid sounding thunk, which really gives you the impression of European quality, which is nice. The door panels also have this interesting look to them where it has this kind of faux looking black aluminum trim, some genuine aluminum trim for the door handle. This is a soft touch injection molded plastic. And then the window switches, you can see, have a nice tactile feel. The window switches are automatic up down for all 4, which is nice. And there's a nice padded area over here. Now, looking at the key fob, you can see this is the same key that Kia introduced on the Stinger a couple of years ago. It does include remote start on the fob. It kind of, again, looks like a detonator, which is pretty cool. Smart key access system is included. Kia puts the button here to fire up the engine on the dash. And you can hear when the engine fires up, it has a little bit of a deeper burble to it. It does have a synthesized noise from the speakers, which you do hear. It has a really nice growl. This is not, as nice sounding as the Camry TRD with its V6, but for a 4-cylinder, this actually sounds better than most of the competitors, including the Mazda 6 and the Honda Accord. Now, you're probably noticing 10.25-inch screen here. This is part of the GT1 upgrade package. And this screen over here is just a very small 3.5-inch helper screen. The Sonata N line offers the full 12-inch digital display that is not included on the Kia K5, which is a shame. I really would have liked to see that full digital display from the Sorento on this vehicle, but this is still not a bad look. But if you guys want that fully digital display, you may want to look at the Hyundai sibling. Now, looking at the steering wheel, you can see nice looking flat bottom wheel. You have the GT badge on the wheel. This wheel is, again, heated. You cannot get that on the Hyundai sibling. which again makes this feel a little bit nicer. I love the leather. It feels really nice and high quality. You have these metal accented paddle shifters on the back, which is nice. A lot of the turn signal stock, again, feels pretty high quality. This center screen there is slightly customizable. If you push this little button over here, you can change it between, you know, a trip computer information, GPS, driver assistance, digital speed readout, and then there's the sport gauge that shows your oil temp, torque, and turbo boost pressure, which is nice. This is here a touchscreen. This is part of the Uvo infotainment system. It doesn't have wireless Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. You have to actually plug your phone in. But what I really like about this is when I push the CarPlay, you can see it takes up the entire screen, or you can also adjust it to be a split screen. So this is, again, really, really nice. This is one of the largest screens in the industry, or in this segment, considering the Accord and Camry and Mazda 6 have a much smaller screen. So this is all really nice. Looking at the map display, you can see there's the split screen layout. Kia and Hyundai do a pretty good resolution map. This is nothing super fancy, but it gets the job done. And the overall interface is very, very easy to use. When I put the vehicle into reverse, just a standard backup camera with parking sensors. Kia offers the surround view system, but not on the GT. I would like to see them offer that. The Sonata also offers the surround view system, but the backup camera resolution is pretty good, but it sadly doesn't offer the full 360 camera. In terms of the dash materials, you can see there's a soft touch injection molded plastic with some faux stitching over here on the dash. It's soft touch right here over the glove compartment door, which is nice. There's more of that dark black aluminum look trim. This right here is a hard touch plastic material, but you'll probably never touch that. And then again, it kind of resembles some European brands with the two screens, or the dash layout here that almost looks like, you know, one big screen here and then regular analog gauges over there. Down here you can see nice looking vents. You have dual zone climate control, which is nice. A lot of hard buttons and knobs, which is good. You also have a volume knob there. No tuning knob, however. I would like to see Kia just put a tuning knob over there. That would have been nice. Some more dedicated shortcut buttons over there. And then over here you can see nice storage area for your phone, 2 USB charge ports. This controls the 8-speed dual clutch transmission. It's a nice traditional shifter for those of you who prefer that. 2 cup holders over here. You can see heated and cooled seats, heated steering wheel, and then your drive mode selector, you can see you have several choices between a custom, Sport Plus, which automatically turns off the traction control, Sport, and a normal. I appreciate how Kia didn't put any eco modes in this car, or comfort modes, although you can customize the custom setting to go to your liking for, you know, individual tailored stuff. You have a wireless phone charger over there, which is nice, and then open this up, you have a nice big center console area with another USB, so 3 total USB charging areas, and a nice padded armrest over here. The glove compartment, when I open that, you can see is a decent size. It's not lined with felt, but it is damped, and the Bose premium sound system has 12 speakers. It sounds way better than the stereo in the Accord, and a little bit nicer than the one I find in the Camry, which is a JBL unit. And then above me you can see panoramic roof, which is included, lets in a lot of light, which you can't even get on some of the competitors. So again, the interior of the K5, really, really nice. The couple things that I wish it had a head-up display, and I wish it had a fully digital display here, and I also wish it had a surround view camera system. Now, if you guys are comparing this car to something like a BMW 3 Series or an Audi A4, you're going to notice that the K5 is a bigger vehicle because this is more like a mid-size car, like a 5 Series, which means you do have more space back here when you get into the back seat. Now, compared to something like the Honda Accord or Volkswagen Passat, the K5 does have a little bit less legroom. I'm going to get back here. I actually bumped my head on the roof there because of that sloping roof line. I'm not the tallest person ever at 5'7", but the space back here, once you get back and duck your head, is actually not bad. Let me shut the door. Now, Kia says you get around 35.2 inches of legroom back here. That's a little bit more than what you find in the Sonata N-Line. But in terms of the real world space, I think the legroom is great. You have really good foot space. You have 2 rear seat air vents back here. You have 2 USB charging ports and then 2 map pockets, which is nice. The panoramic roof definitely lets in a lot of light, which is good. And then over here on the back doors, this is a hard touch plastic material. So they did downgrade that over what I found in the front seats. Sadly, no heated rear seats back here. It would have been nice for Kia to include that. And then when you fold this down, you have a nice armrest here with 2 cup holders. But overall, the back seat is usable. Just be sure you duck your head because of that sloping roof line. I did bump my head when I was trying to get into the back seat of this vehicle. So Kia making bold claims that the K5 GT can go head-to-head with strong German entries like the BMW 3 Series and Audi A4 is quite a bold claim. However, they did poach a lot of German designers and engineers to work for them, so it's not too far-fetched. And I was also very impressed with the sister vehicle to this car, the Sonata N-Line. Of course, we still have nearly 300 horsepower, 311 pound-feet of torque. It's still only front-wheel drive, and one of the main differences between this and the Sonata N-Line is Kia doesn't offer this car with summer tires from the factory. Now that's a quick fix. If you guys want summer tires, just go to your local tire repair shop and they'll happily swap summer tires in. But this 8-speed wet dual clutch, new transmission design, I'm gonna have it in sport now. I'm just gonna floor it. Yeah, the wheel spin is pretty bad. Keep in mind, it's 35 degrees right now. I'm on all-season tires, front-wheel drive only. The traction control gets very aggressive to quell the wheel spin. I imagine the torque steer is going to be bad. The cool thing is I had it in Sport there. You can go to Sport Plus here if you'd like. And when you go to Sport Plus, it actually automatically turns off the traction control. That makes me nervous because this car, I can feel, already has bad wheel spin. I think Kia and Hyundai should seriously consider doing all-wheel drive on this car, especially for the N-Line versions. But let's go ahead and try the launch control in this car and see how it performs. Oh my God, holy wheel spin! That wasn't even the launch control. Wow, that wheel spin was bad. That was really bad. Thankfully, when you get it going, there is not much in terms of wheel spin, but man, that is bad. That 5.8 seconds if you could get the launch right. Let's try it one more time here. Okay. Wow, this thing is fast. All right, I got the launch control to work on this time, which actually is a lot easier to use than the Sonata N-Line. You got to turn off all the nannies, but as you guys saw, it let the engine rev to around 3,100 RPM. This is the only mid-size family sedan, mainstream one, besides the Sonata N-Line that has launch control, by the way. But once you do that, it manages the wheel spin quite nicely, and you should be getting to 60 in 5.8 seconds. That's what Kia says. I've seen some of the magazines do 5.5 seconds. I believe the N-Line Sonata, they got 5.2. That is very potent acceleration numbers on something like this. I mean, there was a time where those numbers were what you got out of like a BMW 335i from 10 years ago. So very, very impressive numbers. And this is a fast car. It is an absolute beast of a car. Traction control, very aggressive there. But man, once it gets going, this is the best shifting transmission in the segment. Amazing dual clutch. It's approaching Volkswagen levels of responsiveness and quickness. God, and that sound is nice too. Now, in terms of the handling, Kia and Hyundai hired Albert Biermann, of course, to be the lead of their chassis dynamics. And he's the guy who used to run BMW's M division. And it really shows in the suspension tuning of this car. Very flat, very firm suspension, but not overly harsh. The body just feels very, very composed, and it feels very solid. The steering could use more feedback. I'm surprised actually with how light and numb the steering is. I believe the Sonata N-Line was better in that sense. But man, has Kia and Hyundai completely come a long way. This is one of the sportier driving sedans. I would love to put this up against an Accord 2.0T, which has always been kind of the benchmark. This and the Sonata N-Line are just two incredibly potent machines. Of course, you could also compare this to the Camry TRD, which has that lovely naturally aspirated V6. I just want to floor it from a stop here really quick. Oh my God, this thing literally just left two black lines on the frickin' road. Wow. Wow, you turn off the traction control and this thing just turns into a burnout machine. Holy crap. Surprisingly, not very much wheel hop, just A lot of wheel spin. Torque steer wasn't bad, but that is comical. That is absolutely hilarious. I love this thing. I love it so much. I mean, yes, I still wish it had all-wheel drive, but that is freaking hilarious. So funny. But anyways, let's go into the normal drive mode here. There's no comfort or eco mode. But when you put it into normal, this car doesn't have adaptive dampers, but it does have a very nice ride quality. It's very compliant, yet on the firmer side. In terms of quietness, it's relatively quiet in here. I'd say it's about average, but put your foot down, you can hear that engine because it's being synthesized through the speakers and it sounds good. The seats are also comfortable. They're more aggressively bolstered, and I feel that they're hugging me, but they'd be great on a long road trip, so that's fine with me. Visibility is also good. The DriveWise package that my tester has is optional. It's part of a $4,000 GT1 upgrade package, which I'd highly recommend. Still makes this thing one of the most affordable cars in the segment. But it's just such a joy to drive this car. And it's such a really pleasant daily driver. And it just takes corners so well. It just needs all-wheel drive. But you know what? Let's try the launch control one more time. You just go to Sport Plus. You turn off all the nannies, floor the brake and the throttle, launch ready. Oh, still spinning the wheels. Wow. Unbelievable that a mid-size family sedan, a mainstream one, can do this. This is just so much fun. Wow. Unbelievable, Kia. Do I find this more comical than a BMW 330i or an Audi A4? I do, absolutely. Steering, handling, the overall feel of this car, Hyundai and Kia should be proud. Just needs a limited slip diff or all-wheel drive. Just give me one of those and it'd be perfect. What a huge surprise. If you guys want an actual sedan, you don't want to break the bank by going with a European brand, this and the Sonata N-Line are some of my favorites, but I believe the K5 takes the cake for me just because of some of the extra features it gives you. Now, in terms of fuel economy, I only had the car for 2 days, and on a highway run, it gave me around 28 miles to the gallon, which isn't wonderful, but in the city, it got around 22 miles to the gallon, so I was kind of also driving it more aggressively. I'll have to wait until I get this car for a full week to retry that test. But what a great daily driver. Unbelievable. This is probably one of my new favorite mid-size mainstream family sedans out there now. Now, a few years ago, one of my favorite new cars that I drove was the Kia Stinger. As you guys know, that car really shook the industry and made you rethink your expectations of a sports sedan. I was hoping that Kia would be able to capture some of that magic in a package that is slightly less expensive. And after spending some time, of course, with the Kia K5 GT, I'm happy to report that that is the exact vehicle. Unlike the regular GT line, that 2.5-liter turbo really transforms this car. It turns it into a legitimate European sports sedan alternative that is quicker, that is significantly less expensive, that's also equally comfortable, and has most of the tech features that buyers in this segment demand. Now, this particular model here, of course, is the GT1 equipped model. It has a $4,000 upcharge that includes the heated and cooled seats, heated steering wheel, the Kia DriveWise package. I think at $35,740, it's worth every penny. It's a little bit more expensive than the Sonata N-Line, but I would argue with the additional features that the K5 has, I would probably go with this model because I also think it looks better. Now, comparing this car to something like an Accord 2.0T Sport or a Toyota Camry TRD, the Kia is roughly around the same price. However, it has significantly more horsepower than the Accord and significantly more torque versus the Camry. The Camry's V6 does sound nice, but it's kind of let down by a sluggish 8-speed automatic. The Accord's 10-speed auto is definitely better, but I really think this dual clutch is one of the best transmissions I've sampled in this segment, and it's really starting to approach Volkswagen in terms of responsiveness, in terms of smoothness, in terms of quickness. Now, the regular K5 starts at around $23,700. It's a little bit more expensive than a Sonata. A GT version will at least cost you $30,600, which is I think, one of the best bargains you can find, especially if you guys are trying to buy a new midsize sedan, which, let's be honest here, everybody is trying to buy SUVs nowadays. So driving something like this makes you stand out in a very good way, and I think Kia has done an amazing job. This and the Sonata N-Line are my two favorite midsize family sedans, but personally, I think the look of this car plus the additional features is probably worth the extra money. But coming back to my original question, has Kia actually built a car that could challenge the German competitors? I personally think yes, they have. This to me is way more fun to drive versus a BMW 330i or an Audi A4, but just keep in mind, at $35,000, this is also around $15,000 to $20,000 less expensive for something that can definitely be labeled as a budget European sports sedan. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on this 2021 Kia K5 GT. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.